So when you're drawn into trying to understand evil, I feel that's a little slippery because it could lead us to, oh, maybe Satan wasn't so bad after all. Maybe he had good intentions. Maybe. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm really glad to be back here today. I wanted to squeeze some time in today. The kids are home doing online schooling, so I've had to rearrange my schedule. Initially, I wanted to share this every Monday, but I thought that maybe Monday I won't be able to have time to do this. So today is a Friday, and I just wanted to share with you, continue sharing my study notes. As you know, I am going through the Old Testament, and feel free to look at the other videos I've done about that. So today I am in Leviticus 19, and it's a very difficult chapter to understand. It's a very difficult book to understand because it seems so far removed from what we experience in life in terms of the religiousness, the ceremonies, all the laws, and the rules. So I just wanted to share with you what I have learned through reading Leviticus 19. So as you go through this book and this chapter, there's so many things, and I am not here to explain to you the meaning of every single law. I would just like to highlight verse 26 and verse 31 concerning divination and magic and things like that God forbids us to take part in. If you want further study on the relevance and the purpose of Leviticus, I'd recommend you go to this source here, blueletterbible.org. It gives a very, very detailed explanation about the purpose and the context of why God had told the Israelites to obey these laws. A lot of it concerned the superstitions that were practiced around them at that time. So God wanted to set his people apart in not cutting their hair and not drinking blood. And there's so much information on this website, so please check that out. Today, again, I want to focus on verse 26 and verse 31. So let's read this, Leviticus 19, 26 and 31. Do not practice divination or seek omens. Do not turn to mediums or seek out spiritists, for you will be defiled by them. I am the Lord your God. So this is so relevant for us in terms of this principle of not being like the world and going to see fortune tellers, looking at horoscopes, indulging in casual magic or the superstitions you may have heard growing up, playing around with spirits, Ouija boards, and all things like that. And in the modern era, we have Harry Potter, which is a huge phenomenon that started in, I think, 2000, 2002, 2003. I remember because I loved Harry Potter. At that time, I was not yet a believer, and I really, really enjoyed the Harry Potter books, the series. I bought every single one of them. I was working at that time. I think I just graduated from college. I really enjoyed the Harry Potter books, and I thought that they taught a lot about, values, good versus evil, talked about friendship, loyalty, sacrifice, all these values that are important in society, and these are very honorable things, and I got a lot of lessons from them. So I kept those books. I kept the Harry Potter books. Even after I got married, I moved them into our new home, hoping that one day I would be able to share the joy of reading Harry Potter with my children. But after I came to Christ and knowing how God does not want us to be involved in magic, divination, wizardry, witchcraft, and all that, I felt very conflicted about Harry Potter. I was thinking, okay, so there are good things in Harry Potter, but yet it's clearly all about magic. Clearly it's all about witchcraft and wizardry. Would I want to risk opening this up to my children? So I just made a decision very early on that it's not worth it. There are other books that they can read and enjoy the themes of loyalty and friendship, courage and sacrifice from different books, like say C.S. Lewis's books, right? The Lord of the Ring books. So we don't have to just hold on to Harry Potter because we think these books are going to teach our kids these good values, because there are other resources. However, having said that, I do know that there are families who are Christian and they still let their kids read Harry Potter books and maybe even have Harry Potter theme parties and things like that. Now, that's up to your own discernment, but for me and my conscience, I feel that that is not a place where I want to expose my kids to. But as they get older, I do think that it'll be okay when they have more mature spiritual discernment to skim through the Harry Potter books and see what they think, but reading that through the lens of the Bible, reading that with the Holy Spirit convicting them and guiding them along the way. But right now, I feel they're not ready to do that. So for us, we feel that the main issue of not letting our kids watch Harry Potter, or even a movie that's very popular like Maleficent, is because how these characters are portrayed. We can be exposed to these stories, but if the children are so young and the stories portray these magical characters, these witches and wizards, in a positive light, in a heroic light, it can really draw their hearts to siding with, to empathizing with something that God calls evil. And Maleficent is actually a really good example, because Maleficent is a witch, right? She has evil intentions towards the princess. But from this movie, we kind of get into her mind a little bit. We hear her thoughts, we kind of understand her intention, we see that actually she is a very broken person, and we want to feel sorry for her, we want to empathize with her. And so when you're drawn into trying to understand evil, I feel that's a little slippery, because it could lead us to, oh, maybe Satan wasn't so bad after all. Maybe he had good intentions. Maybe the serpent, i.e. Satan in the Garden of Eden, had good intentions to want Adam and Eve to be more knowledgeable, for them to be more wise. See, now that's very slippery. Then we try to empathize with Satan, and we no longer have this very clear-cut view of good and evil. And with God, everything has to be clear-cut. You're either hot or you're either cold. God hates being warm, and we don't want to end up being in this warm pool of, oh, maybe it's not so bad, maybe it's okay. See, that's a very dangerous place to be for us spiritually, because that's where you are making yourself vulnerable for Satan to sow seeds of deceit, sow seeds of lies and questioning and doubt into your mind, and you never know how those seeds are going to grow. So it's not worth it. That's my point. It's not worth it when there are so many other books, any other types of literature your children could be reading to learn about these good values of courage, loyalty, friendship, and sacrifice. So that's where I stand on this, and I just want to share my thoughts with you. You can disagree, and it's okay. It's fine to disagree, but these are my thoughts, and please comment below. I'd love to hear what you think and what your views are. And again, I just want to emphasize that it's not that, no, I will never let my kids read or watch Harry Potter books and movies, but just at this time, not yet. And when God leads me to have a comfort about their maturity and spiritual discernment, then at that time it would be good for them to understand what other people are reading. It has been one of the most popular fictional books in this modern era, so it would be good for them to know what Harry Potter is all about. Thank you for watching, and I hope this triggered some questions in your mind about what you're doing in terms of exposing either yourself or your children in your lives, about magic and Harry Potter books and Maleficent movies like those. Comment below. You don't have to agree with me, but I'd love to hear what you think on this topic. And subscribe so you know when I upload a new video.